She said, "One more rep," and I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how her voice landed. Low, certain, like she already knew I'd do whatever she asked. Her name was Mara, mid-40s, sharp lines around her mouth that somehow made her smile softer. She wasn't loud or commanding like the other trainers. She didn't need to be. She stood close, adjusted my shoulders with the edge of her palm, and the world shrank until it was just her breath and mine. The gym was half empty, music dull in the background. The mirrors caught us in fragments. My strained face, her steady gaze. "Slow down," she said quietly, her hand lingering on my back. "You're fighting it." "I'm trying," I managed. "I know," she said. Then softer, "That's the problem." Her hand stayed there longer than it needed to. Not inappropriate, just long enough for the silence to thicken. I didn't look up. If I did, I wasn't sure what I'd see in her eyes. When she finally stepped back, her perfume trailed after her. Faint, like citrus and something warm. She wrote something on her clipboard, head tilted. The line of her neck caught the light. I noticed everything. The faint tremor when she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The small scar near her wrist. The way she avoided looking at me too long. "Take a breather," she said, voice clipped now. I sat, pretending to check my phone, pretending not to notice her, pretending not to notice me. A few minutes later, she crouched beside me. Her tone changed again, softer, like she dropped the coach voice for something more personal. "You push too hard," she said. "Isn't that the point?" Her eyes flicked up to meet mine. "Not always." There was something behind that, regret maybe, or memory. The kind of tone that comes from knowing exactly how it feels to burn yourself out for something that didn't last. I wanted to ask what she meant. I didn't. I just nodded and looked away. She stood slowly, and her hand brushed my shoulder in passing. Just a graze. It felt deliberate and accidental at the same time. After that, the session blurred. I lifted. She counted. Our rhythm found something wordless. Tension wrapped in routine. Every good or "that's it" landed heavier than it should have. When she handed me a towel, our fingers touched. A spark, or maybe just static. Still, she hesitated, the kind of pause that says too much. I caught her looking once, between sets. Not the kind of look you give a client. The kind you give someone you shouldn't be thinking about. She turned away first. By the time I finished the last rep, my arms shook, but it wasn't from effort. It was from everything we weren't saying. She smiled, professional again. "Good work," she said. "Same time next week?" I nodded. "Yeah, same time." She started wiping down the equipment, focused, efficient. But her movements were too careful, like she was hiding inside them. Then she stopped, looked at me through the mirror. "You can stay and stretch," she said, voice steady. "If you want." The words shouldn't have sounded like an invitation. But they did. I swallowed, heart kicking in my chest. "Yeah," I said. "I'll stay." She nodded once, turned toward the storage room, then paused. For a second, it looked like she might say something else. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Then the gym door opened, a sharp noise breaking the quiet, and she stepped away, leaving the air between us heavy, unfinished. The next week, I came early. She was already there, tying her hair up, earbuds in, lost in whatever song she used to keep her distance from the world. When she saw me, she pulled one earbud out, offered a small nod. "You're early." "Couldn't sleep," I said. Her eyes flicked over me, tired, maybe curious. "You shouldn't train when you're running on empty." "I've been doing that my whole life," I said, half joking. That earned the smallest smile. "Then maybe it's time to stop." There it was again, that weight in her voice, like she was talking to herself as much as to me. We didn't say more. She led me through stretches, adjusting my form with light, practiced touches. Her hand lingered on my wrist longer than necessary. The callus of her thumb brushed my pulse. My breath hitched. She didn't move. Not right away. Then she did, quick, professional, as if remembering the line she wasn't supposed to cross. "Better," she said. Her tone was too calm to be real. I focused on the weights, but my mind kept tracing her movements. The quiet rhythm of her breathing, the way she exhaled before speaking, the faint scent of her lotion when she passed close behind me. Between sets, I asked, "Do you ever take a break?" She looked at me, puzzled. "You're here all the time," I said. "Don't you ever just stop?" She laughed under her breath. Not the easy kind, but one that sounded tired. What would I do if I stopped? I didn't know how to answer that. She didn't seem to expect one. When she turned away, I caught a glimpse of the small tattoo at the back of her neck. Faded, half hidden by her hair. Something about it made her seem more real, more human. Not the untouchable trainer, but someone who'd lived through something messy. Later, while I was cooling down, she sat beside me on the bench. For a while, neither of us spoke. The gym hummed with distant noise, music, footsteps, machines. Finally, she said quietly, "You remind me of someone I used to know." I turned to her. Good reminder or bad? She looked at me, really looked, and for a heartbeat it felt like we weren't in a gym anymore. Just two people, too close, both pretending not to want what they wanted. "Both," she said. Her hand brushed my arm. Not by accident this time. Just a slow, deliberate touch that stopped at my elbow. Her fingers tensed like she might pull back. But didn't. I didn't move either. For a moment, the air thickened. Charged, quiet, impossible to name. Then she stood, breaking the spell. "That's enough for today." Her voice shook slightly, the first crack I'd ever heard in it. I nodded, but I didn't leave right away. As she wiped down the bench, her reflection met mine in the mirror again. Eyes soft, conflicted, saying everything her mouth wouldn't. She looked away first, but she smiled. Just barely. It started raining the day everything shifted. The kind of steady rain that seeps into your clothes and slows down time. The gym was nearly empty again, the sound of drops against the windows louder than the music. Mara stood by the doorway, shaking water off her jacket. Her hair was damp, looser than usual, small strands sticking to her neck. She caught me looking and smirked, tired but warm. "Guess we're the only idiots who showed up today." "Guess so." Something about the quiet made every word feel heavier. She walked over, passing close enough for the scent of rain and shampoo to mix. We trained, but neither of us really focused. She corrected my form, her hand on my hip, her palm guiding my arm. The touches came slower now, hesitant but intentional. When she leaned in to adjust the angle of my shoulders, her breath brushed my neck. I froze. So did she. For a moment, neither of us moved. Her voice was soft, almost unsteady. "Relax. You're overthinking." "Hard not to," I said quietly. She stepped back. Barely, but the air between us didn't clear. A phone buzzed on the counter. Loud in the stillness. She turned, frowned, and picked it up. The name on the screen flashed. David. Her thumb hovered. She didn't answer, just pressed the phone face down and stood there, eyes distant. I tried not to ask, but it slipped out anyway. "Boyfriend. Ex-husband," she said after a pause. "Old habits die hard." Something inside me tightened. Not jealousy exactly, more like understanding. I suddenly saw her in all the ways I hadn't before. A woman holding herself together after too many small losses. She caught me watching her. "What?" "Nothing." "Say it." I hesitated. "You don't seem like someone who gets rattled." She gave a small laugh, short and bitter. "Then you don't know me at all." Before I could reply, the gym door creaked. Another trainer poking his head in. "Mara, you locking up?" "Yeah, just a few minutes," she called back, her tone quick, composed. He nodded and left. The door shut again, and the silence returned, sharper now. She turned toward me, eyes searching. "We should stop doing this." "Doing what?" "This." She gestured vaguely, the space between us, the tension hanging there. "It's not smart." "Maybe not," I said, "but it's real." Her expression flickered, softening. "You don't know what you're saying." I took a step closer, slow enough for her to stop me if she wanted to. She didn't. The rain outside grew louder, steady against the glass. We stood inches apart, caught in that fragile space between sense and want. Her hand twitched, as if she might reach for me. Then she pressed it flat against my chest instead. A touch both warning and surrender. "You should go," she whispered. I nodded, but neither of us moved. Her eyes met mine, and for a long second everything else blurred. Then a key turned in the front door. The sound broke us apart like a snapped thread. She stepped back, breathing uneven. I turned away, pretending to grab my bag. When I looked again, she was watching me. Lips parted, eyes conflicted, heartbeat visible in her throat. No one spoke, but something had already changed. It was supposed to be just another late session, quiet, routine, harmless. But the moment she walked in, I knew something was off. Her eyes were red around the edges, like she hadn't slept. No makeup, no small smile. Just Mara, stripped of the calm she usually wore like armor. "Rough day?" I asked. She exhaled through her nose. "You could say that." I didn't push. She didn't explain. We both went through the motions, weights, sets, reps, but neither of us was really there. Halfway through, she stopped, hands on her knees. "You ever wonder if you've built your whole life around keeping things under control?" I hesitated. "Yeah, every day." She looked at me then, not with curiosity but recognition. "You're too young to know what that means." "I know what it feels like," I said. "To pretend you don't want something just because you're afraid of what happens if you do." Her lips parted, and for a second, she forgot to breathe. "Mara," I said softly. "Don't," she whispered. But she didn't move when I stepped closer. She stood still as I reached up and brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. Her skin was warm, pulse visible at her throat. My fingers lingered longer than they should have. She closed her eyes just once, as if letting herself feel it. "I can't do this," she said, voice breaking. "People talk. I have clients, a reputation. You have your whole life ahead of you." "Then stop pretending you don't want it too," I said. That made her flinch. Not from anger, from truth. She took a step back, then forward again, trapped between what she said and what she couldn't hide. "You don't understand. I've already been the mistake in someone's story. I can't." "I'm not him," I said. That stopped her cold. The silence stretched, sharp as glass. Rain hammered the windows again, like it had the day everything started. She shook her head, eyes wet but steady. "You think this is about age? About what people would say? Isn't it? It's about what it would cost," she said, almost pleading. "You think you want this now, but one day you'll look at me and wish you hadn't." I took another step, close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of gold in her irises. "Then let that be my mistake." She laughed, short, trembling, wrecked. "God, you don't make it easy." "I'm not trying to." The words hung between us, charged, trembling. Her breath hitched as I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away this time. Our fingers locked, small and desperate. "Mara," I said, barely a whisper. She looked up, eyes dark, mouth parted. Every trace of composure gone. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Her lips tilted toward mine, close enough to taste the warmth of her breath, when a sharp knock hit the glass door behind us. We both froze. A voice called out, muffled, "Hey, is anyone still in here?" Her hand slipped from mine. The moment shattered, but the air between us stayed electric, alive, impossible to erase. The next morning, she didn't show up. Her name wasn't on the schedule. No message. Nothing. Just her absence. Loud, hollow, impossible to ignore. By the second day, I asked the front desk if she was okay. The new girl looked up from her computer. "Mara?" She took some time off. "Family thing, I think." Family thing. That could mean anything. Divorce papers. A funeral. Or maybe just a quiet escape from something she didn't want to face. I told myself to leave it alone. I didn't. 3 days later, I saw her again. Not at the gym, outside in the parking lot just as the sun was going down. She was leaning against her car, arms crossed, staring at nothing. When she saw me, her shoulders tensed, but she didn't look surprised. You shouldn't be here, she said. I was starting to think you weren't coming back. She sighed, looked down. I wasn't going to. The air between us felt colder than the evening. I took a few steps closer. Did I do something? Her laugh came out brittle. You did everything. That's the problem. I waited. She finally looked up, eyes rimmed with red. Someone saw us last week. The night of the storm. The words landed like a weight. Who? She hesitated. The owner. He said. It didn't look professional. That I should be careful who I get close to. I felt a pulse of anger I didn't know what to do with. So that's it? You just disappear. It's not that simple. It never is with you. That stung her. I saw it in the way her jaw clenched. You think I want to ruin my reputation for this? For me, you mean? Her silence answered that better than words could. I stepped closer, close enough that our reflections merged in the car window. Then tell me you don't think about it. About us. Her breath shook. Don't make this harder. You already did, I said quietly. She turned away, but I caught the tremor in her hand when she reached for her keys. Then she stopped, keys halfway to the door, and whispered, You think you know everything, don't you? What are you talking about? She looked at me, eyes raw. You're not the only one who waited outside that night. Took me a second to understand. She looked away. He saw me too. My ex. He's been showing up again. The word he made something sharp twist in my chest. Mara. No, she said, shaking her head. This isn't about jealousy. It's about danger. You don't know what he's capable of. Her voice cracked on the last word. The fear in it wasn't abstract, it was lived in, old. I reached out, brushing her arm, slow, careful. She didn't pull back. I'm not going anywhere, I said. Her eyes met mine, terrified, conflicted, wanting. This can't end well, she whispered. Then let's stop pretending it's over. The keys slipped from her hand, hitting the asphalt with a sharp metallic sound. Neither of us bent to pick them up. It was late when she called. Just my name, quiet through the phone. Can you come? No details. Just that. By the time I got to her place, the rain had started again. The same steady rhythm that always seemed to follow us. Her porch light glowed weakly through the mist. She opened the door before I could knock. Barefoot, hair loose, eyes tired. Mara. She stepped aside. Just come in. Inside, it smelled like coffee and rain. A lamp glowed low in the corner, throwing soft light across her face. She looked smaller here, not the composed trainer, but a woman whose strength had started to cost her. I didn't know who else to call, she said finally. You could have called anyone. Her mouth twitched. But I didn't. For a moment, neither of us moved. The quiet filled with things we'd been holding back for weeks. Every near touch, every almost. I took a slow step toward her. Tell me what you need. Her throat worked as she tried to answer. I need this to stop, before it destroys something good. Then why call me? She looked down, exhaled hard. Because I didn't want to be alone tonight. That broke something in me. The honesty of it, the exhaustion. I reached out, brushing a strand of wet hair from her cheek. Her skin was cool from the rain. Mara, I whispered. She closed her eyes. You shouldn't be here. I know. When she opened them again, everything unspoken was right there. Fear, want, guilt, relief. All of it. Her fingers found my wrist, light but trembling. You don't understand what this means. Then explain it. She stepped closer instead. Close enough that her breath touched my neck, her voice no louder than a heartbeat. If I cross this line, I don't get to take it back. I swallowed. Then don't. She laughed once, brokenly, and looked up at me like she was already falling. You have no idea how long it's been since someone looked at me like you do. Then let me, I said. The air tightened, seconds stretched thin, heavy. She was right there, eyes flicking from my mouth to my chest, every defense dissolving. Her hand slid up to my jaw, tentative, searching, and stayed there. The warmth of her palm, the small tremor in her thumb as it brushed my skin. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I. Her forehead rested against mine. The world went still. No words left, no pretending. Just the quiet hum of two people standing too close to turn back. I don't know who moved first. Only that when she finally leaned in, it wasn't out of impulse. It was surrender. The kiss didn't come with fireworks. Came with relief, slow, deep, inevitable. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet, but steady. I think I finally understand, she said. What? That wanting something this much doesn't have to mean losing yourself to it. I nodded, breath unsteady. And me, she smiled, faint but real. You saw me. That's enough. Morning came quiet. The storm had passed, leaving a gray light that softened everything. Her kitchen, the worn coffee mug in her hands, the silence between us. We hadn't said much since last night. Didn't need to. Something in the air had shifted. Not relief exactly, but calm. The kind that comes after a long fight with yourself. She sat at the table, one knee drawn up, hair falling loose over her shoulder. No makeup, no armor. Just Mara, real, imperfect, beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with age. I poured her coffee, handed it over. Our fingers brushed again, and she didn't pull away this time. Thank you, she murmured. For what? For not making it complicated. I almost laughed. We're two people who can't stop thinking about each other, and you're calling that simple? Her smile reached her eyes for the first time in days. Okay, maybe not simple, but honest. She leaned back, watching me. You know this doesn't make everything easy. I don't want easy, I said. I just want real. Something softened in her face. Not surprise, more like acceptance. The wall she'd built around herself finally looked cracked enough to let light in. She reached across the table, palm open. I took it. Her hand was warm, fingers tracing mine absent-mindedly, like she was memorizing the shape of something she hadn't let herself hold in a long time. I kept thinking I was too old to start over, she said quietly. Too tired, too. Seen already. You are seen, I said. That's what makes you impossible to ignore. She blinked, caught off guard. You really don't care what people will say? I care, I said, but not enough to pretend I don't want you. For a moment, she just stared at me, the kind of silence that doesn't ask for answers. Then she stood, walked around the table and stopped beside my chair. Her hand brushed through my hair, slow, thoughtful. You make it sound easy to believe in something again. I looked up at her. Maybe it's not about believing. Maybe it's just about letting it happen. She smiled, the kind that lingers. You really are too young to be this sure. Maybe you're just too used to doubt. That made her laugh soft. Real. She leaned down, pressed her forehead to mine. The warmth of her skin, the quiet hum of her breath. Everything about it felt like yes. We stayed like that, not moving, not talking. Just breathing the same air, letting the world exist without rushing it. Outside, the rain had stopped completely. Light spilled through the window, and for once it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the start of something that didn't need to prove itself anymore. She whispered, almost to herself, maybe it's okay to stop fighting it. I nodded. Maybe it's okay to finally want what's in front of you. Her lips brushed my temple. A slow, grounding kiss. Then stay, she said. I wasn't planning to leave. The quiet between us turned warm again. Not heavy, not forbidden, just full of breath and heartbeat. This time it didn't feel wrong. It just felt real. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?